Hey hopscotchers, I know y'all like to draw, but do you know how to draw with spiraling emoji? Well, let's learn how. So get your iPhone out and let's make history. So you should be in this screen right now, and at the bottom you'll see this green plus button. That's the Add a New Project button. So let's press on it to create a new project. So the first thing we need to do is pick an object that will do things for us, and this is how we're going to get our spiraling emoji. So to pick an object, it's just here. You can either pick a text, including emoji, or shapes, or animals, or trees, or whatever you want. So I'm going to pick emoji, so I'm going to tap on text. And remember, if you're ever falling behind, you can always pause and rewind this video. And it starts off with the sunglasses emoji because that's so cool, but I'm actually going to go in another direction. I'm going to press delete here in the corner, and then I'm going to go to the emoji button, and I'm going to pick the unicorn because they're very rare. And then I'm going to press check, and now I see this block right here. This is my unicorn's rules. So what we want to happen is when we press our finger on the iPhone screen, a trail of emoji will appear where our finger was, the same way drops of ink appear when you press your pen on paper. So there are going to be two rules that we need for that. The first is when the iPhone is pressed, our emoji will create clones. And the second rule is that those clones, when they're created, will be set to where your finger just was. So let's do it. So let's make that first rule. And to make a rule, you start off with whens. That's this magenta colored set of blocks. This decides when your object will do something. And so as I said before, we want it to do something when our finger presses the iPad. So see, this block is pressed. Let's tap it. And as you can see, you have a choice of objects here on the bottom, but we've already have iPhone picked right there, and that's what we want. So when the iPhone is pressed, we can press check here. Now we decide what it will do. So what we wanted to do is create new unicorns. So we're going to go all the way to the very end of this set of blocks to create a clone. So let's pick create a clone, and this basically makes more ink from your pen. So now to see what our project looks like, there are two buttons over here. The first is an eye, and that shows you your stage. And so now you can move the unicorn around on the stage, and you see those two numbers? Those tell you how far to the left and how far up or down your object is. So let's go back. And then here, this button actually plays the project. But right now, our unicorn isn't doing anything because we haven't given it anything to do yet. So let's go back to edit, which you can do by tapping on that pencil. And let's make our second rule. So tap plus new when, and pick when object is cloned. And let's grab follow finger, which is a pre-made block. So if we pick this, let's see what happens. Whoa, pretty cool, but this isn't exactly what we want. We want to make a trail of them, right? So let's go back by tapping on the edit button in the top right corner. And let's open up this block, which you can do by tapping on the arrow on the right-hand side of it. There's a block that says set position to last touched X and last touched Y. Remember those numbers we saw on the stage earlier? This is the X and Y coordinate of wherever your finger was last touching the screen. So by putting this block in a repeat forever, we're telling the unicorn to always set its position to where the last touched X coordinate and last touched Y coordinate are. So what'll happen is it will constantly be placing itself where your finger was last. And that's good, but because that's in a repeat forever block, that's happening constantly. And so all those clones are following our finger and they're behind each other. So it only looks like there are two unicorns there. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this and we're going to move it outside of the repeat forever. And then we can actually delete this repeat forever by tapping on the delete button on the bottom. And now let's see what happens. Okay, so now it's looking kind of buggy. Do you know why? Because there are actually like thousands of clones here right now. Every time we pressed the screen, each clone, let's go back to edit and I'll show you what I mean. Every clone of your unicorn is listening to this rule. So the very first moment you press on the screen, the first unicorn is being told, create a clone of yourself. It makes another. Then only a millisecond later, you have 2 unicorns listening to this rule again that says create a clone. So they make another 2, and now you have 4 unicorns. In a matter of milliseconds, you go from 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64 to 128, on and on, till you have thousands and thousands of unicorns only within a matter of 1 or 2 seconds. This is way too many unicorns. What we want is to only have 1 new unicorn every moment you're pressing the screen. So the way we can do that is by having each unicorn spin forever after this block. So we're going to put a repeat block after this block and then have it spin inside that. So what will happen is that every new unicorn that sees this rule when the iPhone is pressed will create a clone of itself and then spin forever. And since it'll never stop spinning, it won't go back to this create a clone block. So that way, only the last clone created will create a new clone of itself. So we have to add another block here. That's going to be a repeat forever block. And inside it, let's have it do a spin move. So let's drag the red turn block into there. Let's have it turn 1 degree forever. So let's see what that looks like. Oh my god, we got it! Cool. Alright, let's go back to edit. So a couple other things. The first is that if you want to change the character that you're using for spiral draw, you can just tap on it and change what it is in the keyboard. So if I want it to be a dragon now, whoa! So by the way, if you notice this dragon in the center and you don't want it to be there, one way to get rid of that is to go back to edit and then go to the stage, which is found through this I button right here, and just drag the original character off the screen, and then you won't see it. Boom. So there are a lot of cool variations that you can add to this, and I can't wait to see what they are, and that's how you make spiraling emoji pens.